What would be a useful reparation for black folks to tide us over while we wait for the cash direct deposit? Let's see, a useful reparation. You know what? Oh, let me tell you, cancel the credit.
And during the first year of my administration, I made it very clear, made a promise to drive reparations and become the first mayor in the city of Chicago to actually dedicating funding to that endeavor. Reparations is not just an acknowledgement of our past. Reparations is an acknowledgement of the past sins and how it's more important now than ever that we continue to fight for complete liberation. But we see the sins of the past and the vestiges of slavery still seep its way through our economy and through government. We see it more clearly now than ever before. The legacy of slavery in America is obvious to anyone who actually cares to pay attention. The Confederacy is certainly alive.
So individuals like Brandon Johnson really love to pretend as if the world that we're in is the world that was before. And it's clear that we're not. Case in point, you're a black mayor in America and you're telling me the Confederacy is alive. The vestiges of slavery exist. Sir, you're delusional. But Brandon Johnson's a racist of the highest order. And Chicago, if y'all keep this type of leadership, you deserve what you get.
And we can feel and see the pulse of the Confederacy manifest in the Donald Trump administration. We need to be reminded as blacks here in Chicago and America, remembering our past and working towards a more just future, investing in black is not a criminal act.
So Chicago's radical left mayor, who has destroyed Chicago since he was elected, he's worse than Lori Lightfoot, has said that he's going to be taking the taxpayer money. He already destroyed Chicago with the illegal immigration, declaring that Chicago will be a sanctuary city with over $1 billion, right? It's over $1 billion in deficits. Now he said he's launching a reparation program where he will be giving more money away to people who in Chicago, that's not a slave state, right? So it's not one of those states that we think of when we think of a slave state, right? We think of the South and Southern states, right? So there's a good chance that most of the white people in Chicago did not have slaves or their ancestors, but they're going to take away from the white people.
And let me also just add, most of white America didn't own slaves. Slavery was not an issue where every single person of less melanin had a slave. That's not the case at all. There's a percentage of Americans that are of white descent or white ethnicity, whatever you want to call it, that did own slaves. But it wasn't every last white person, and every black person wasn't a slave. And so again, this is a completely false narrative. Let's get it going. Let's go.
People and give it to the black. That's socialism. That's Marxism, and it's just idiocy. It's stupidity, and it's more of why the Democrats lost and why they are destroying their cities.
What would be a useful reparation for black folks to tide us over while we wait for the cash direct deposit? Let's see, a useful reparation. You know what? Oh, let me tell you, cancel the credit. Cancel what you owe. Let me tell you something. That, you know, it's funny because in the Bible, they had, it was something like they called it the Jubilee. And every 7 years, your credits were wiped out. And let me tell you something, you need that. We should have kept that because every 7 years you get to start over. But the way we do it in America is you keep it forever, and it's ridiculous. And I think that every 7 years, we need to cancel all what anybody owes anybody so that everybody can get a fresh start because you deserve it. In fact, everybody on earth is owed a fresh start. So to tide us over, cancel the credit. Anything you owe, let's just cancel that. Okay? I like that.
I like Terry Crews. I think Terry Crews he has a very interesting, encouraging um, character story, how he became the man that we know him as today. But that right there is absolute utter craziness. And please keep in mind, he's correct. In the Old Testament, there was a year jubilee, but there was also a penalty for people that would run up credit going into the jubilee year, knowing that they were going to get it absolved. So there's some give and take, and we would abuse it in a heartbeat. We would have already abused it. But again, that wasn't even directed to Gentiles. That was directed to the people of Israel, God's people coming out of slavery in Egypt. So you can't just do a one for one, Terry. I think he knows that. I really think he was just being a little bit more idealistic and just I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. That he was just like, oh, this would be a great idea, just kind of like ideating. Not really. I don't believe he really meant that. But let's go.
What is the question?
The people of Chicago want to know why you are engaging in racist rhetoric and hiring practices.
Yeah, thank you for that question, and I fundamentally oppose and reject the premise of your question.
Thank you. We'll go to Tara
very
now.
much.
Thanks.
The pastors gathered here at the historic Quinn Chapel to rally to Mayor Brandon Johnson's defense in a coordinated event designed to present a unified message.
Please be mindful. No one talks to the press.
Right.
Once this is done.
It was a carefully controlled gathering of dozens of black pastors from across the city.
We have this already lined up. We have all of this already prepared.
The objective, defend Mayor Brandon Johnson and his hiring practices, which are now under scrutiny by the Department of Justice, which is looking to see if they are discriminatory in favor of blacks.
Do y'all remember, I've said this several times, and I will stand by it, whenever an elected official of the Democrat stripe gets in trouble, they hightail it over to the black church for duck and cover. And we see this right here, these human political shields shilling for Brandon Johnson's gross, absolutely deplorable hiring practices where he only hires black people and basically don't want to hire any white folk. And to watch these quote unquote black pastors shield for him has got to be the highest watermark of insanity.
Stand today as a collective group of faith leaders to say enough is enough.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
The harassment has to stop.
It all started last Sunday when Johnson bragged in another church about all the blacks he had hired, drawing the attention of the White House. The mayor's office responding that his staff is diverse, with 34% of them black, 30% white, and 24% Hispanic.
This is not the mathematics of discrimination.
Yeah.
This is the arithmetic of democracy finally functioning.
The mayor had a ribbon cutting and was not at the pastor's press conference, but his political director was, and speakers frequently offered messaging very similar to what the mayor said on Tuesday.
My administration reflects the country, it reflects the city. His administration reflects the country club.
This appears to more represent the country, not the country club.
This gathering appearing to be an attempt to help shore up the mayor's political base, but it could be a risky strategy.
So he's focusing very heavily on getting the message out to African American voters that he's there for them. The message, though, is backfiring because it's making it appear as though he is taking racial sides, that he is supporting African Americans and not supporting the entire city.
The pastors
There you go.
defending their message.
This is not about black Chicago. This is about Chicago being inclusive.
The pastors made it clear that this is just the beginning of a mobilization effort to not just stand up for Mayor Brandon Johnson, but for black leaders everywhere.
That's wild. And we've watched this. Brandon Johnson is an outright, unequivocal racist in the most classic sense. He's a racist. He looks at skin, or better yet, if you want to go as Terry Crews brought up the Bible, he's a partialist. He looks at your externals and he gives out based upon partiality. And that's it. It's an unequal weights and measures. And it's completely deplorable. And those black pastors ought to be ashamed of themselves. They should be able to say, no, Brandon Johnson, this is wrong. Everybody in Chicago deserves an opportunity. You should be the mayor of everybody, not just looking for externals. Because you very rarely hear Brandon Johnson talk about the merits of the individuals that he's hiring. It's always their skin color. It's always their gender. It's very rarely the merit of these people. I hired the very best comp controller. I hired the very best this person. This person right here has this much experience. The expertise that this person brings in is phenomenal. It's the best in the nation. You never hear that because all he does is talk about skin color. Maybe they are the best. Maybe they're not. We don't know because all he talks about is skin color. Let me know what you think down below. I really do appreciate you rocking with us, and let me know. I disagree with Terry Crews, but what do you think would bring racial healing to America? Is the question I would love for you to answer down in the comments. What do you think would bring racial healing or racial solidarity or racial unity in this country? Let me know down below. I really appreciate it. Thank you again for helping us get closer to our goal of 50,000 subscribers. We're so close. I'm looking forward to celebrating very soon. So until then, everybody, grace and peace.